faced and will face will come to the surface within us. And not so that it should drag us down, but so that it should lift us up. And Guru tells us that sometimes we can get ourselves to this or to that, but Guru tells us that He shall always be there to lift us. And sometimes in this life, if we don't go on the right pathway, then because of our devotion to Guru, Guru will automatically put us onto the correct pathway. But sometimes that pathway is not what we in our ego or our mind want. So the test for Khalsa, for Sikh, no matter what your age, is whether you can give the matate and say, Guru, you take it. Take my destiny to wherever you want to take me. That's where I'm going to walk. Well, that's tough for us because we want to walk the way we want to walk. We don't always want to walk how Guru tells us we should walk. Until we walk the way we want to walk, and then something happens that doesn't work, and then we come back and, oh, Guru, give me your blessing, give me your guidance. So the question then becomes, why didn't we start with that guidance? Why didn't we start with that trust? But again, we don't want to let go. But the thing is, if we don't let go, it's going to be let go from us anyways. There's not a choice. And my belief is that what is currently happening in our Sangats, in our Gurdwaras, where the truth is not what is lived, that even Guru shall set that straight, that those structures will somehow come to an end. Because Guru will give us the rope until we hang ourselves by it. But what my belief, from what my study of the Guru body, is that Guru is saying to us, here's the rope to save you, not to hang you. Right? You know, they say if you give somebody enough rope, they'll hang themselves, right? But what Guru is saying is giving a handout and giving a rope not to hang ourselves with, but a rope to bring us in and to save us. That's the difference. Again, it comes to that question because we are humans, and we have this mind of ours, and we have this body, Guru says, is just made up of bones and nerves and organs and some kind of skin casing. So we have that choice that we can either keep fighting or we can give up the fight. And sometimes I just sit in front of Sri Guru Granth Sahib and I think to myself and I say, you know, this I've done, that I've done, this I've done, this has happened, that has happened, this has gone, this has been, I've done this, I'm rotten, I'm no good, I did this, this was good, that I did all right, this I didn't, this I... And I sort of assess myself. And then I say, but Guru, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop bowing. I'm not going to stop being devoted to you. Even you get mad at me, even your Kanami hits me between the eyes like a pin, like a hammer, still, I will not give up my devotion. Because I trust and believe that Guru shall carry me across, in spite of myself. Because what is fear? Fear is that we don't know what's going to happen next. That's all fear is. So because we don't know what's going to happen next, and we can't make something happen, we become fearful. And that fear grows. It multiplies. Because we don't know what's next. I only know one thing, that right now everybody is Obama mania, and I'm going why Guru mania. That's all. I have no other choice. You can go Obama mania, this mania, Bollywood mania. I'm just going why Guru mania. I want to make a sweatshirt that says why Guru mania. Because in this Kali Yuga, what else is there but why Guru mania? We call him maniac for why Guru. We were at a home last night at a Kirtan program, and I was speaking. And I said there's two things that we want basically our children to have. And there's two things that we basically want to have. And that's, one is position, and the other is status. We push our children to succeed in school, to get their diplomas, to get their credits and all those things. Because we want them to grow and to have position, and we want them to have status. But we have to ask ourselves sometimes a question: did we give them position and status in their spiritual life? Because that's really our success as parents. We can give them all the position, we can give them all the status, we can pay for their schooling and do all those kinds of things. We've all done it, we're all doing it now as parents. Because we want them to grow and have position and status and be successful. But in that push sometimes, we forget to give them the position and the status in their spiritual life. And what is the meaning of position and status in spiritual life? Because ultimately for each and every one of us, whether we realize it or not, if we're young and we're thinking, that's not me. But the reality is that eventually, sometime in our life, our spiritual position and our spiritual status will be important. And Guru raises us to have position. And Guru raises us to have status. And that's the biggest tragedy, and it's not only just within our Sikh faith. I faced the same thing when I was growing up in the faith I was raised in. They wanted me to have position and status spiritually, but they didn't have position and status spiritually. They wanted me to go to temple, but they didn't go. They put me in after-school programs to be trained in my spiritual, but they didn't know how to support it in me. But they tried.